Hello, Karen from Quantum Heart Awakening. Today we're going to do a Divine Feminine reading, but I have to tell you, I have been very apprehensive to do any readings because something really intense is moving for the feminines right now, and I really had a hard time. Do I show up in service to the collective or do I show up in service to myself? Learning how to become such a accurate discerner of these very subtle energies. And so my compromise that was that I didn't record a message super early in the morning. I waited. I was present with my own energetic system, which, it's really hard for a lot of us who deeply want to be in service. But, if our service does not extend to self, it is not sustainable, right? So here I am. And I'm just very curious where we're going to go today, feminines. So let's take a moment. I am going to do my sound bowl. If this part bothers you or if it's too intense, sometimes people are really sensitive to sound. You could totally fast forward, but I'm going to do it for myself. Whoops. Okay. So I'll take a couple deep breaths and just be present with what's here now. Okay, feminines, let's get into it. What is the feminine collective confronting? We immediately got a wake-up call and also vision quest. I just said this on a phone call. I just said this on a phone call to a friend that I feel like I am being called to go into the desert. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, whoa. Harmony. Okay. Yeah. We're collectively having a wake-up call over what will bring us harmony. It's been very difficult for the feminine collective who has been pushed into this forced role of service. It's one thing to be in service out of a sovereign choice, right? Out of a calling. It's another thing to be forced into a role and also shoved into a box. And for feminine energy, that has been a big thing that we've been confronting. All of the inequality in the world, all of the devaluing and stripping away of like the natural, of this sort of oneness with nature, this sort of internal resonance of the natural within us. And hold on a second. Yeah, it's almost like we've been trained to allow the external to dictate the internal when it's really supposed to be the other way around. So there's a ripping out of old roots that no longer, that we no longer want to feed, that no longer want to grow. I'm looking out my window right now and there's a vine growing on the outside of the building. And when I first moved into this place, I, for some reason, cut all of the vines. I didn't want them, they grow into my screens and they create holes and do all these things. And now I'm so grateful that nature has taken over. It came back even harder, and I'm allowing it to completely engulf my window. Like, I don't even care if it blocks out all of the light. There's something really inspiring about nature reclaiming their space, about the natural reclaiming. Sorry, it's very moving to me that the feminine is finally allowing herself to grow where and what she wants to grow, and in the time and space she wants to grow it, without criticizing self, without worrying about what other energies, people, places, and things think, what society might think. There's something really, I've been dancing around this thing that I want to say that immediately came out in these cards, but what's showing up right now, feminines, is that, it feels like someone's shaking the feminine awake, to have this wake up call to what would happen if you continue on the path you're in. What would happen if you continue to abandon self? What would happen if you continue to betray yourself, to cross your own boundaries, to let other people, places, and things cross your boundaries? What would happen if you continue to walk down this dissonant path? What would be created from that? And actually, it's not an accident we're talking about all of this lush growth of these vines that are crawling up my building and clinging to whatever they want. Like, they're clinging to all services. They're clinging to wood, to brick, to a metal screen, they don't care. They don't need much to grow. They're going to continue to grow. And what's being asked of us is, in order to access that level of lush growth, we need to enter into this sparse desert. I just literally got off the phone, finished having a conversation about monastic living with someone, and I'm very drawn to monastic life. If someone was a fly on the wall in my life, they might not understand how I live, why I live the way I live. And yet, if you take me and put me in a monastery, all of a sudden I make sense. I spend many hours a day in prayer and contemplation. Take that with a grain of salt. I'm not as disciplined as that sounds. I'm, loosey-goosey and walking this monastic householder's path. Meaning I am a mystic outside of a monastery, and learning how to navigate that life. We've never been here before, some of us. And so it's like, what does a modern mystic look like? What do we consume our thoughts with? What is worth contemplation? What is worth my precious life force and time? I've invested so much time, like years of my life, investing in things that are meaningful to me. And I have no guarantee that, it'll pay off in some capacity. However, I have to do it, because if I don't do it, I will die. If I don't do it, it is crossing my own boundary. It is betraying this sort of inner soul call that I have to do what I do. And sometimes I have to trust that there is greater wisdom in that intuitive call and following that innate resonance than my psyche or my brain could work out. Sometimes I do things without having a reason. I can't defend some of the things that I do because it is coming from a place that is greater than myself. So I don't always have access to that. Something is anchoring right now. Okay, we're getting more and more and more. Yeah, we had movement in reverse. And I put it up right, but we actually had wake up call in reverse. I'll leave these. Let me be appropriate and accurate. And yeah, it's like, until we take action on what these resonating higher calls are, we will not wake up from the dream. We will not, wake up, period. There's something here that only you can leap off your cliff, whatever your cliff is. And I also am a boundary person. I come from a consent and boundaries place, sacred sexuality, conscious relating. That's kind of where I was birthed out of a little bit. And so I really believe in boundaries. So if you don't feel the absolute embodied full call to leap off this cliff, it's not your time. So I have a feeling that going into whatever your flavor of vision quest is, does everyone know what a vision quest? It's, a higher call to strip oneself down and be one with the one, to be one with nature, to be one with God, wherever you find that, it's a stripping away. It's like, entering into the desert for 7 days and 7 nights without food, water, or shelter, and surviving that and trusting in something greater than self, handing yourself over, laying yourself on the altar and offering up self. It's a very profound rite of passage or ritual, and it's not to be done lightly. And I'm not saying, I hope no one actually goes and spends 7 nights and 7 days in the desert without food, water, shelter. It's not that, again, we are being called to interpret this through the modern age. Again, we are mystics outside of monasteries. We don't have, the protection of the walls of the building where other people are worshiping in the way that you are. We are all called to a unique soul path, and we have different religions, and I don't mean traditional religions. I mean, we are called to develop our own unique, the word that I want to say is like religiosity. And I don't even know what that means, but it's like we're all called to develop our own holy book, our own holy teachings, to find what works for our specific brand of spirituality and follow that. And don't let external sources tell you what you know to be true, that literally just fell out of the deck. I'm still shuffling. You could hear it on camera, and that just fell out. Yeah, we are reclaiming what is ours. Everyone has unique karma, right? We all have our side of the street, and what's on that side of the street is different for all of us. So when we can get clear, we can start radically taking accountability for what's on our side of the street. Yeah, we have Mother Gaia nurturing. This nurturing is a two-way street. We nurture Mother Gaia, and Mother Gaia nurtures us. And I think one of the biggest leaps that we have as humans is to recognize that we are not other. That how we treat the world around us is how we treat ourselves. My throat is going out. Wow, hold on a second. And I don't have a drink handy. Forget it. We're going to plow through. To really honor that the world around you, your environment around you, is constantly 24/7 mirroring back to you these sacred pieces of self. And it's up to you to choose which pieces you take radical, ruthless, unconditionally loving accountability for. Anything else, Spirit? Anything else? Oh, wow. Yeah, this reading is mimicking what I've been going through, but I feel much more grounded now. We had this ceremony invocation card come out in reverse. I'm going to put it upright just so we can look at it. Yeah, you're meant to commune with the divine. I don't know what this looks like for you, feminines. I don't know what your brand of spirituality is. Is it through music? Do you connect? How do you connect with source? Whatever that looks like for you. Is it nature? Is it cooking? Is it, getting on your knees and sharing your most vulnerable, deepest, authentic self? Coming home to this energy that knows exactly who you are and who you're going to become, and allowing yourself to bask in the glow of that awareness, that sort of, I'm picturing like an ancient grandmother archetype, an ancient matriarch who holds your past, present, and future in the palm of her hands and embraces you with it, laying in her bosom, being held, trusting in the ever unfurling path and taking action over that. Being able to take discerned action in alignment with your deepest call, not judging self, being present, open, and awake to the path that's in front of you, and choosing to take another step forward with the tools and access that you have in the moment, without criticizing or judging self or other for exactly where you're at. There's something so humble about someone preparing food. It's like we all have to eat, and not all of us prepare our own food. Let's honor that. But there's something deeply humble about working with our hands and taking ingredients and preparing them to turn them into something else. It's a very alchemical process. And whether you're on day 1 or day, 1,000 and whatever, it's like the process is the same. This is the chop wood, carry water energy. This is the life of a monk or a nun or holy person who practices discipline, and maybe they practice, devotion in whatever their flavor is from their lineage of spirituality. This alchemical process is the same for everyone across all cultures, across all religions, across all spiritual practices. There is a transmutation, transformational process that takes place from one state to another. There's something very humbling about that, but also deeply unifying, that we all kind of confront these difficult parts of self. This is a very, once you learn the basics on this path of spirituality, it's rinse and repeat, chop wood, carry water, show up every day with intention, with integrity. A little bit goes a long way with God, a little devotion, a little, intention goes a long way in the realm of spirit. We do the best we can. We are not measured by how far we travel and what we overcome in this life. We are measured by our level of integrity and intention. Can you see how this levels the playing field? Can you see that it really doesn't matter if you're in the gutter or if you're in the penthouse? What matters is that you are showing up with this profound intention, and you try and you try again. What's really wild is that you can spend your whole life never making it out of the gutter, but you can have penthouse energy. The way you show up is the penthouse energy. Can you show up in full devotion, in full, what's the word I'm looking for, Spirit, that I'm not saying? Commitment. Thank you. Can you show up fully committed to what's in front of you? It doesn't matter if what's in front of you is figuring out how you're going to find food to eat, or if it's, trying to figure out how to unite nations. It doesn't matter the nature of the work. What matters is how you show up to the nature of the work. It's deeply moving. I've had a lump in my throat and behind my third eye this whole time. Yeah, I just looked at what's being pushed into the shadows. It's rebirth. You are being asked and confronted, feminines, with pushing through. I don't know what this is for you. We can ask more questions, but it doesn't really matter because the process is the same for everybody. The process is confronting yourself with empathy and profound compassion when you're in the trenches of self, when you've bumped up against a block, and showing that part of yourself that is struggling, empathy and compassion and unconditional love. That's all you have to do, is continue to do that process. Bump up against something difficult and then do the work of loving yourself through that experience. You are quite literally companioning yourself, all these parts, through this transformational process. Thank you, Spirit. It's pretty profound. Okay, should we get more? I don't know about you, but that was an intense emotional roller coaster of beauty and humility. And okay, Spirit, what's blocking this rebirth? What's blocking the feminines right now? What do they need to know? What's showing up on their path? What do they need to know for the highest and best good of self and the planet? Is there anything else you want to share about what's blocking this rebirth process? Whew. Thank you. We have shape shifting and we have calm in reverse. Say more, Spirit. I'm getting very dizzy all of a sudden. Oh, thank you, Spirit. So this shape shifting, feminines, you are such incredible chameleons. You can flow and create a home and loving environment in the most dire of circumstances, both internally and externally. And so I asked the question, what's blocking this rebirth from coming in? And we have shape shifting. It's like you're blocking the metamorphosis by holding on, by keeping tethers to certain people, places, things, thoughts, ideas, memories, emotions, by holding on so tightly with such a tight grip. I did this, like the fist is so clenched so tightly, it's preventing this metamorphosis from taking place. So feminines, what do you have to let go of? Now, it's really easy to point to people or places or tangible things, but what's a little more nuanced is identifying those moments, those places in your psyche, in your heart that are attached to a specific outcome. You are being called to release all expectations, to release all sort of concepts and ideas around what you thought your life would look like. It's not going to look like what you thought it was, and yet you're going to be gifted exactly what you want and need to take another step on your path. So there's a bit of courage being called for here, feminines. In order to shapeshift, in order to allow this rebirth to take place, you have to let go of, what you thought it was supposed to look like. They're showing me the monkey bars, monkey bars on a playground. In order to reach the next bar, you have to let go of the previous bar. There's no way to take a step forward without letting go of the past. Anything else, Spirit? New love. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. This is really direct for someone. Is there a person, a partner, an old concept of relating that you are being called to let go of, because new love wants to work its way into your psyche, into your life, feminines? Anything else? Okay. Power to visualize a better world. Yeah, separate message here. Well, it's along the same lines here. You have to make sure that you are not filling every nook and cranny of your psyche and your heart with the past. You have to leave a spot open for the mystery to gift yourself with something. It's like, it's like you are asking the universe to send you an unexpected partner or an unexpected person, and at your dinner table, all the chairs are full. It's like if there's no seat open for the divine, if there's no seat left open for this gift from the void, gift from the mystery, you have no space, you have no room to receive this gift. So it's up to you to create space in your life, to create space in your heart, to visualize a better outcome for yourself. Anything else, Spirit? Let me ask a specific question. I don't have a specific question. Hold on. I just had an explosion. All right. Our cards are flying everywhere. We have dazzling charm, self-reliance, and fidelity. Oof. Okay. So, feminines, you're on a mission to uncover the sacred devotion, to uncover a devotion is that serves your higher good. Um, all right. Thank you, Spirit. I'm being called to tell you this little story. In the beginning of my spiritual awakening, I was in my early 30s. I've had a bunch of crazy spiritual experiences before that, decades before that, but this was when kind of my bigger illumination happened. And I remember getting really frustrated with all of the wisdom teachings out there that were preaching non-attachment. I was pissed off, if I'm being honest. I'm like, none of this makes sense. I kept thinking, like, there has to be something that's safe that I can attach to. And as someone who struggled with grounding and who has a strong Taurus moon, I like to build things that last. I like to be rooted. I like to have a stable home life. And I just didn't buy that there was nothing on this planet that I was able to attach to. That idea of non-attachment didn't make me feel safe. It caused me more fear and anxiety. And so I started out on a quest to find out something safe that I can attach to. And then it hit me one day that I'm allowed to attach to the divine, that I'm allowed to attach to oneness, that I'm allowed to find safety and grounding in this ineffable thing that we call, unity consciousness. And ever since then, the nature of the work that I do in the world has changed significantly. So, feminines, you're being called to step into sovereignty. And part of that sovereignty is uncovering that thing that your soul feels safe committing to be faithful to. We have this fidelity card and self-reliance. Like these go hand in hand. Sovereignty and devotion. What do you want to devote your soul to on the planet? This is your anchor point. This is your North Star. This is the thing that will call you out of the deepest depths because it resonates so strongly with you. This is the thing that will call you back home over and over and over again. For me, that is oneness. If you've been listening to me, you've heard my elevator pitch of my mission, that I am here to help support the shift of collective consciousness towards authenticity, unconditional love, and infinite oneness. That is my anchor. I am faithful to that path. I have also taken vows as a oneness initiate or as a twin flame to anchor this new way of relating on the planet, this hierogamy, this hieros in motion in modern times. What does that even look like? Hieros is that sacred union, that sacred marriage between gods and goddesses. What does that look like in a 3D modern age? This is the inquiry I kneel at all the time. This is my work. This is my bread and butter of my daily devotions. Feminines, you are being called to excavate what is that soul truth for you, to excavate the one little soul nugget that will keep you coming back, that no matter how insane your life circumstances are, that this thing will bring you peace. It'll bring you inner strength. Sorry, I'm feeling something else. Hold on. It's really important that I share with you that excavating this little soul song, oh, that's what it is. It's like a heart song. It's a heart song. That's what it is. You're excavating whatever your light is that your soul came here to bring. It's really important. I'm getting this, like, I'm being pushed to share this with you. It's really, really important that you understand it's not all going to be love and light and roses and sunshine and unicorns. That this thing that will always call you back home, that will illuminate and ignite your soul on fire, is also the thing that can cut you at the knees, that can break you, that will completely shatter your sense of self. And it takes a lot of spiritual discernment to understand the power of that, the value in that. sometimes we spend so many years creating this shell of self, and yet your soul mission here, your soul song, might require that you completely shatter everything you've built. It's really important that you understand the difference of, is this a karmic cycle? Is this me continuing to make the same choices and getting the same results? Or is this time different? Is this pain calling me to something higher? It's also being able to discern that difference between egoic fear and intuition. Intuition, when you get that intuitive hit, it's going to cost you something. You get a little, contraction, fear in the belly, because it's going to require something different of you. Whereas when you just have fear of something, there's not really this call to, something higher. Regular fear doesn't require much of you. You can be scared of a million different things, and it's not calling you to something higher. But intuitive fear is like fear of who you're going to be or who you're going to have to become to get to the other side of where you're being called to. It's very different. I didn't even look down, but it's pretty hilarious. On the bottom of the deck, this is what's in the unconscious position. What's just left of your awareness is fame. So this is perfectly in alignment with what I just said. Some of you are going to have to step into the limelight. Now, that could look like many different things. Maybe some of you are being called to step into traditional fame, that you are going to have to go through the trials and tribulations of what that life would require of you to survive that, to step into soul mission. Some of you feminines are playing too small, because if you play small, what's the phrase? It's much easier to be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in a big pond. And some of you are going to be thrust into a big pond to see what you're made out of, to see if you can navigate that environment, to become who you need to be, to step into this better world that you've always had the power to visualize for yourself. Yes, this new love could be a person, but it also could be a new love of self, a layer of self-esteem and confidence that you've never had before, that you couldn't even dream of having. Ooh, okay. Anything else, Spirit? I feel like I want to get some self-care, self-love cards. Let's just see if there's anything else. Anything else for these beloved feminines who are working so hard. Thank you. We have space. It says the quality of your life has more to do with what you remove from your life than what you add to it. Give yourself the gift of space. This brings me back to the monastic conversation I had earlier, or monologue, if you will, about, it's such an interesting thing when you view holy people, oftentimes like nuns or monks or other devotees. On the outside, they might look like they live a very impoverished life. They might have very humble dressings. They might have, they might live in very meager accommodations. And yet on the inside, in their internal castle, in their interior world, they are the most abundant, wealthy people you've ever met. And so I'm very moved by that concept. And so you've heard me say this mantra before of we're on this path of healing, and we're being called to love ourselves enough to take up enough space to go at our own pace so that we can access wise discernment. Sometimes having a lot of stuff in your life, people having a really full schedule all the time, remaining occupied in every moment, mind, body, and spirit, actually creates an impoverished internal world. Sometimes the less things we have internally, the less things we have externally allows us to access the more riches internally. I can't stress this enough. The quality of your life has more to do with what you remove from your life. Feminines, what would behoove you to remove from your life? What would support you in removing? Is it relationships? Is it crappy food? Is it shitty habits? Are you being called, how's your sleep schedule? Have you mastered your sleep? Have you mastered your nutrition, your movement, your hydration? Have you mastered connecting with people? Connection with people is one of the top indicators of living a long life, of longevity. Do we feel supported? Do we feel connected to people? Do we feel that we're seen, heard, and loved? Do we feel like we're part of a community? All of these factors, it's so easy to get a gym membership and go work on your body, but when's the last time you've worked on your interpersonal relationships? When's the last time you called that person and had dinner with them, or just sat in silence with a friend and just sat in the energy of communing? Yeah, I don't know. That brought me to tears, that one. I think we are suffering on the planet with loneliness. I think people feel, we're so connected with the internet and social media, but in this age of extremism connection, we are actually missing out on deep, authentic soul connections. And so you're being asked, feminines, what do you want to remove from your life? What would give you the most bang for your buck? I always think about those people that like Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs, who wore the same things every day. Imagine every day if you were able to put on the same thing as a devotional practice to self, meaning you love yourself enough to take away the confusion and the energy that you would have to put into picking out an outfit. Like the monks, every day they put on the same habit. Nuns, every day they put on the same habit. And it's one less obstacle they have in front of them, between them and their heart's deepest truth, this devotion. So what is that? How can you give yourself more space in your life? Is it time to clean out that closet? Is it time to, go through your bookshelf and donate whatever books no longer serve you? Or if you've had a book that's changed your life, how can you pay it forward and pass that along to the next person that might actually need it? Listen, there are no accidents. We do nothing without being divinely guided. Everything is divine guidance. So if you have an intuitive hit to clean out that drawer, it is divine wisdom that you do so. And oftentimes those are the things that we push into the back of our, into little crevices in our minds, like, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it. Or you're supposed to clean out your car, or whatever it is. That is divine wisdom, because you have no idea what is going to come from you doing that action. You might clean out your car and it might just give you a more peaceful ride to work. It might create mental space so that you can come into deeper relationship with the present moment, with the environment around you. Maybe if you're stressed out on your way to work and you go in, you're in your own head, you're in your own ego, kind of in this self-centered energy, and you might not notice your coworker who's really struggling with family matters. But if you had more space in your heart, mind, and body, you might have enough resources to share with them, to reach out to them and say, hey, what's going on? And have a loving moment of connection. Okay, feminines. This is now, I'm going to end the reading here, but what's being pushed into the shadows is your power. It says the ability to suck it up is not a superpower. Saying no is. Own your power. This is all boundaries and consent work. You've heard me say this a million times. You've heard probably a million other practitioners say this. I'm going to say it again because I think if we all taught our children how to hold boundaries and how to wield wise discernment, we would change the world in a generation. All of your yeses should be hell yeses. If they're not hell yeses, they're a no. And most importantly, if it's a maybe, it's a no. If it's a maybe, it's a no for now until you get more information to get to your hell yes. If you're at a maybe, it's a no for now until you negotiate with that person, place, or thing to make it a hell yes. This is it. Like, if you just work on just your boundaries on this spiritual path, you will change your life. All right, I'm just going to get one divine feminine Buddha wisdom. It says, emptiness is absolute reality, the source and support of all things. I mean, we're talking about creating space. This is the most aligned, perfect message for feminines. Emptiness is the absolute reality, the source and support of all things. This is talking about the quantum field itself, void space. Unity consciousness is not a tangible substance. It's not a 3D, it's not filled with matter. It is source itself. So where in your life can you create more space, feminines? All right, I'm sending you so much love. This was a humdinger reading. Take some time with it. You might have to listen to it a few times, maybe take notes, and just let it wash over you. All right, I will see you in the next one.